had some things come up, but anyway. So, let me just turn this off so that way it will not cause a hindrance. Get that out of my life. Same thing with this. Tell this to stick it. Okay. So, this is going to be a little bit more, how do you best put it? It's going to be thinking outside the box with, hi Caleb, always on time. It's thinking outside the box when it comes to Samhain and the celebrations that take place around the same time. Like, the Day of the Dead. I can't pronounce it in Spanish. So if I could, I would. But I don't have it on top of my head. Of course, Halloween. Hello, Kelly. And of course, the time of the year where it's actually when the veil thins. Yes. Kayla, I think you're gonna be my. I think I'm gonna have you be my my new assistant, Kayla. Just like what's this again? Assistant. Yeah. Because like every time I'm like, crap, what's this supposed to be? Every time. But nonetheless. And hello, Truth, sire. Now, if you're not familiar with like my practice and whatnot, I'm very close to the Norse goddess Hel. I don't know if you'll be able to see her back there. No, you won't be able to see her because the little blanket's in the way, but that's a good thing. And to me, death is actually, best put, it's not really an ending and a really like final goodbye to something. It's just taking something from one state of awareness and of being, and it's moving into another. If that makes sense. And at least with Hel, yeah. And at least when it comes to Hel and with her, if you do anything regarding the dead, even if it's like visiting a gravesite, even like what I'm doing right now, I had to ask her, can I talk about the dead in the Samhain? And of course she said yes. But with her, it's she's very touchy and very protective of her passed on in the dead. And she actually really despises people who do any kind of necromantic work. It is what it is. But anyway, so Samhain is, of course, the time of the year where the veil thins, and usually that's when the passed on are actually able to interact with, the mundane, everyday, humane world much more effectively. Some actually, well, I used to think that when, Samhain came around, somehow, some way, the dead got out of like Hel's underworld, or like other divines underworld, or places where they went to when they passed. Somehow they got loose, and now they're spending as much time as they can interacting with their still living loved ones. But that was totally wrong. But in all honesty, though, it's really, at least in my opinion, very, let's see here, I'm going to try and pick the right word. I see it as vital to actually practice something that actually does give, I almost said homage, to give homage, not homage, like honor to the passed on, because believe it or not, the ground that you're standing on, or the chair you're sitting on, or anything that you're now, existing on, essentially you're there because of an ancestor behind you giving you that spot to stand on, if that makes sense. Because without them, you can't stand. Yeah, they're the foundation. And funny enough, the The older generations, when they pass, they get buried and they go into the ground, thus being the new foundation and nourishing the new that comes from it. So that's why it's like that cycle of newborn, infant, to child, to young adult, adult, to, I guess, middle age, then senior, and then elder, and then passed on, buried, and then that cycle just keeps going and over and over and over again. But specifically, this time of the year is actually when it starts getting a little bit more harsh, to best put it, because at least with the astrological point, sun is now going and it's now setting in the west, and the sun doesn't like the west direction because that's Saturn's direction. And if you're familiar with the astrology things I've said, the sun likes the east because that's where the sun rises, and that's the first house. The west, the seventh house, that's the house that Saturn loves being in because he gets directional strength there, and he actually technically opposes the ascendant, opposes the you. So usually this time of the year, days get a bit shorter, and the sun doesn't last that long, much longer, at least in the northern hemisphere. The nights get colder. Yeah, it's not usually as warm as one would like, but then again, depending on where you're at, like where I'm at, middle of hot mess dustland, Arizona, it's like, oh, it's always 110 degrees here. Oh, first time? Oh, we thrive off this heat. I don't. But the days last longer, and up until close to when it transitions from fall into winter, yeah, that's when it's actually getting pretty far away from, the Earth gets pretty far away from the sun. That's when it starts going into signs like ending of Scorpio into Sagittarius and then into Capricorn and Aquarius. Yeah, those actually find enough for the Saturnian signs, and yeah, they're kind of cold, kind of attached, just like the old geezer with hips. But nonetheless, I'm actually gonna throw you a curveball question just to see. Which planet do you think would actually be very? Let's see. Which planet do you think would be the best to work with on Samhain or during this time, especially when it comes to working with the passed on or giving honor to the passed on or giving remembrance to them? Which planet do you think would be the best? Okay, there's one for Venus. If you happen to see the grin on my face, it's like, she already knows. Any other guesses, or is it just going to be Kayla participating? Okay, fine. She's the one that gets the brownies. Nobody else. No. Actually, also, well, you could also do. Yes. Yep. Just took it out of my head, Kelly. Yep. That's actually another one. Well, both of them, Saturn and Venus, are actually both optimal. Saturn because you're going back to your heritage and you're going way back and keeping a tradition going and maintaining it and sticking to more of how things were usually done back in the day. And when it comes to keeping a tradition alive, well, with Mercury though, Mercury is very logical, very if this, then that, then this, very sequenced. And communication with the spirit or passed on, that's more, you're like going into the Pisces side. But also Scorpio, if you want to be more on the darker side. But Pisces, you put Mercury there, you're taking something that's trying to be logical and, mathematically correct and with communication, and now you're pretty much throwing him into a place where he's like, Huh? What? How am I supposed to make sense of this? How can I explain this feeling of being intoxicated? I don't get it. Huh? Because Pisces is it's like the depths of emotion, and is also one of the other moksha signs. So Mercury is trying to logically figure out, how do I explain this emotional depth? It's very difficult. You can't really do it, but that was a good guess. But with Venus, though, Venus is actually my first choice. Because if you remember, I hope I mentioned this, Venus as a planet and as a guru figure to the Asuras actually prolongs somebody's being in existence after death. Leaves and gives also an indication of one's legacy that they leave behind. Like when they have done something great in their life, if it's caused such a impact on the world, the legacy stays and it lives on, and that person lives forever. That's how powerful Venus can be. But specifically, Venus is the planet that can take somebody who's dead and just bring them back to life. Because with the constellation of Bernie in Aries, that constellation is all about Yama, the god of death. I can't really say, I'm not really sure. But I do know one of the days is November 1st. At least I know that. But specifically, I can't answer that one because I don't know. But I don't want to give out BS and wrong information and be like, oh, I know everything. No, I don't. But, yes, the planet that everybody's like, oh, love, beauty, arts, woozy wooing, oh, romance, fancy cars, looking glamorous and bedazzling, is also the one that also brings somebody that's dead back to life. Kind of a bit of like a, well, that was unexpected. Yeah. And when you're also giving a passed on remembrance, you're bringing them back to life. When you remember one of them, they come back to life. Like for an example, like recently, someone close to me passed. Every time I just think about them, they're alive again. And the only real technical, stop doing that. The real technical death, like the only death that there is the death of being forgotten. In other words, if you're forgotten and there's no trace of you, that's when you're gone. That's the only death. Other than that, death is really a transitional. But when you're forgotten about, there's not much you can do. That's why I'm pretty adamant and pretty touchy when there are ever like decisions to actually like move grave sites around, or like move grave plaques around, or relocating sites. I'm just one of those that's like, don't touch it. And my I think it was my grandmother's side. I think on her side, she had a few family members that were buried in the cemetery somewhere in California. Then this twat-head, dim-witted, I can't remember what specifically where they yielded from. But yeah, this family got ownership of the cemetery. And to save money, they decided to stack sites on top of one another. Body stacking, essentially. But now here comes the big whoops. Mother Nature came in, caused a storm, all that washed away while it was being worked on. It's gone. Stuff like that, once it's gone, oops. That's something that is really heavy karmically, because you're taking somebody's existence. I'm not entirely sure with Louisiana though, but like say, like what these people, what this family was doing, they were actually like trying to conserve their financial standing, and instead of actually expanding the cemetery or getting another site or adding on to it, they decided just to keep the area as it was, dig up some spots, put another site on top of it. Yeah. But while in the midst of doing that and working on that, nature was like, oops. So yeah, they got quite the lawsuit. And I don't know about you, but if I was related to that family, I'd get my last name changed. I want nothing to do with that. And speaking of that too, recently I went down to go the speed limit, twathead. I went to the cemetery here where my great grandparents, Eddie and Doris, are. When I went there to go visit, I couldn't see the plaque. I couldn't see their plaque space. I couldn't see it because it was covered in dirt. So bad that literally it looked like it was just a pile of dirt. Not only was I livid, but luckily there was nobody there on the grounds for me to table flip on, because I would have lost it, saying, you do know that this site hasn't been, swept? It's covered all the way to the point where you can't even see it. And the vase that I've left, little gifts in there and whatnot, or even for flowers, it was damaged because of, nature. It fell over and, has some damage to it. If you're a groundskeeper or, an undertaker for a cemetery, you're supposed to clean it. And you're supposed to make sure the plaques can be read. No ifs, ands, buts, or tushies. Even though when I was visiting at the time, this was like about a few weeks ago too, I saw that and I didn't even have anything like a broom. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just use my foot. Just swept the dirt away with my foot. Completely uncomfortable, and I cared absolutely not that my sandal was now covered in ants. I didn't. But I mean, it was just so like, really? Leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So, a lot of people also consider Samhain also being an optimal time to actually be doing necromancy work. The thing is, because some people have actually, come verbally swinging at me saying, why are you gatekeeping? There's a difference between gatekeeping and telling you what you should not do, because if you do something stupid, you're going to wish you didn't. And actually looking out for somebody's safety. There's a difference. One's trying to be jackass. The other one is actually concerned. And one is also trying to be a little bit stingy with what they know and, being authoritative. But anyway, When you're doing necromantic work or working with cemetery spirits or the passed on or any passed on for that matter, if you're going into a cemetery, at least the way that I go about it, every little thing that I do, I ask Hell's permission before I do it. Even as simple as going to the cemetery. Ask, yes, I can go. Okay. I get all the way there. There's the gate. Stop at the gate. Can I enter Hell? If she says yes, in I go. Nope. Okay. Back home I go. Going now, past the gate. Now if I'm collecting cemetery, like the cemetery dirt, of course ask Hell, can I get some cemetery dirt? And if I'm trying to get it from a specific passed on, I would actually ask her and if I could get the dirt from said site, or if I just need any kind of dirt within the cemetery, just ask if I could. Because when collecting cemetery dirt, you don't have to go to a grave spot and go, no. You could just go within the cemetery boundaries, take one step in, there you go. It's within the boundary. Work smarter, not harder. And usually when you have cemetery dirt that's just within the boundary, like right in there, like one step in, good enough. It's general, all purpose. It's not attached to any individual passed on. It actually encompasses all of them. So it's more adaptive. But if you're going for more of a focus intent, then yeah, of course, grab it from a specific spot. But anywho. So, just say if I was collecting cemetery dirt from a certain site, I see the site that I want to go towards, ask Hel, she says yes, okay, go towards it. And again, yep, L, could I interact with person, space, or individual that's passed on? She says yes, okay. And then now I ask the passed on, may I interact with you and see about using whatever I'm petitioning for and give something back in response. If they say no, nope, done. Even this hasn't happened, but if Hell got me all the way down to the site where I was wanting to go to, and at the very last possible moment, like asking, can I interact with him? No. Okay. It's strict, and it's asking every little step of the way. Not because it's more along the lines of making sure every T and Q has the line through it. It's crossed, and everything is on point. Oh, Lisa! It's been a while. But I make sure that I cover every little single step that I do, because the last thing I want to have happen is Hell just come out of the door and be like, hey, you remember that thing about you doing this with this one spirit? Yeah, something bad happened to them. Guess who was the last person to do something with them? You. Hold still. Exactly. Don't be Mr. Krabs. Yep. Hey, Michael, that was a good way of putting it. But and it's also a respect thing, because I'm going towards what she has dominion over. So I'm handling it like, okay, I have this honker diamond and I want to make sure I'm taking very care of it. Very careful and ginger, handling with it. Because the last thing I want to do is misstep and oops, well, there goes my head. And specifically, if you're just collecting the certain dirt from a site, okay. But it all changes when you're actually taking a passed on spirit or passed on from the cemetery to a space, have them assist in working, or even, believe it or not, you can actually if you wanted to, you can actually take, excuse me, a simple piece of clear quartz like this. And if, like, say, if you've gone through the process of asking the spirit if it would like to assist you in whatever endeavor you're doing, and if they approve, you can actually have them go and inhabit, or pretty much take like a temporary, you know, that sounds so weird. Temporary residence, but no. You can have them actually become, enchant this clear quartz, and that spirit will be on this quartz. So then you can actually take them from the cemetery, and wherever you're doing your working, or if you're going to be having them do whatever it is, you would then actually use this piece of clear quartz with them and their essence on it in the working. And now that spirit is now in the working. But now here comes the big, make sure you do this, because if you don't, oops. As soon as you're finished doing work with the passed on spirit that you got from the cemetery, get your tushy with this thing, with them in it, take it all the way back to the cemetery, and take them back home. Make sure that you take this back to the site, cleanse it off, and then give them the okay that the work is done and now they're back home. Because the last thing you want to do is take a spirit from the cemetery all the way to your working space, and as soon as you're finished with the working, just be all, okay, that's a wrap, thanks for your help. Which way is the cemetery? I'm lost. That's the last thing you want to have happen. Because not only have you just took this passed on out of the cemetery, now they can't find their way back, and now they become a wandering, earthbound spirit. Or worse, you took this passed on who is at rest, and now you turn him into an anima sola. That's the extreme, though. And actually, speaking of that, Lisa, like the situation that you're dealing with, heck, get some of the cemetery dirt from there, and yeah, just throw it at some, throw it at that twat head, be like, okay, you dimwit, here, have some of the spirits, wait. There are bodies preserved in the church, for an example, visiting St. Peter's and... Yes. I would still ask. Like, even if it's mummified. Like, if you're in the general space of it. But then again, also got to keep in mind, if you're in a sacred, holy site or a place, it's always best to also have the... the faiths or the beliefs elder. Well, all I can say is it sucks to be that guy. No. But when you actually have somebody who's an elder and actually is very familiar with the space, if you actually ask for their guidance and have them guide you with it, they'll probably give you way better advice and guidance than I could. Because if you're putting me into a chapel-like setting, especially when it has some passed on that are mummified, at least for me, I'm thinking I'm not going to even go anywhere near that, because that's like, if I touch it, I'm going to be in deep crap, because it's preserved. One little mistouch, oh great, I just burned it. Now, at least with ashes, especially like with anybody for that matter, there are some people that like to have their ashes be put in an urn. Okay, there are some that actually like to have a piece of jewelry with the ashes in it. There's some that actually just have the container of it. There are some that actually have the ashes actually be made into a tree, which is probably one of my favorites. And there are some. This is the one I don't like. This is the one I'm like, I know that it was their wish to be, you know, have this happen, but for me, if you go to somewhere and if you just fling the ashes or like spread the ashes, throw the ashes, to me, that's like saying, okay, we got you. Meh. Because my grandparents had a family friend that wanted to have his ashes just thrown into the lake. Like, for me personally, I think of that as just like, okay, all right, here's your wish. We're gonna just throw it in the water. Because somebody's ashes, if you fling them, they're gone. And that's something I can't do. I can't take somebody's remains or ashes like that and just be like, eh. Because Hill would be like, oh, wow. You know, I have never met anybody wanting to get their head ripped off as fast as you have. Yeah. And one of the, believe it or not, like say if you have like somebody who passed away and they were like very dear to you, what you can do, let's go again with the stones again. Like say if you had, fine, we'll do the cheesy one. Oh, right in front of my face. Say for an example you had like significant other or spouse figure pass away. You can take something as simple as, well, you can take a simple rose quartz. I mean, not rose quartz. Clear quartz, master quartz, heart-shaped. Something as simple as that. Or, you know, we can go with like the basic stone, rose quartz. Or if you want to go big or go home, a honker piece like this, but it's also selenite. And what you would do with the ashes, you're not going to be all like, dump the ashes on it. No. All you're going to do, finger into the ashes, and just coat the stone with it. And massage it into the stone. So now that person, their energy and essence is now connected to the stone. So if you're saying, like, if you want to connect to them and interact with them or communicate with them, take the stone that's enchanted with them from their ashes, hold it. Because now you're going to actually have a connection, especially with the hand that's not your dominant hand, your receptive hand, the one you don't write with. For me, it's my left. So with this stone having the ashes of said passed on person, and with my receptive hand, putting this stone in here and holding it, the essence is now being pulled like up the arm and towards the heart. So it's that heart connection, just like that. And you just hold it. And then you actually should be able to start interacting or communicating or being able to get their thoughts. Start, even if you're really sensitive, like I am, unfortunately, you can actually start hearing them from the astral side. And no, you don't have to be all like, okay, I need to redust it. No, just one time, good. Because when it's with somebody's life essence, like, don't you be barking pooch. With somebody's life essence, as soon as it comes into contact with the stone, unless if you neutralize it and cleanse it, that life essence is going to stick. So, that stone will actually hold that energy until you cleanse it off and purify it. That's another way. And also by technicality, if we're going to be really technical, one of the beliefs is that, like, if you like the new Disney movie that's actually giving reference to Day of the Dead. I can't remember what that movie's called, but how the movie actually has one of the characters. I think it's the main character's real father. Yeah, he didn't have his picture up, so because of that, he was quote unquote forgotten about, so he couldn't actually go and interact with the living. Yeah, that one. Yeah, since he couldn't interact with the other side, he was forgotten about, and since his picture wasn't up. Me personally, I'm somebody that rather be like, okay, well, because the way that I see it, and the way the way I look at it, point blank, well, if it's a passed on, if it's someone who passed away, whether I knew them or not, don't matter. They're still an ancestor. Yeah, the first death. Well, actually, the first death is the death of like the physical body, and when you have the death of the physical body, that's the first one, and then the second death, I think is that the I think that's the one where it's actually the like the funeral and then the quote unquote goodbye, and then the third death is the forgotten and the last one. As for me, I look at it's like, okay, so this is a passed on that was once alive as a person. So all passed ons are ancestors, technically. And without each one of them, I wouldn't have this ground I'm standing on. So therefore, just because I don't know them, doesn't mean that I cannot remember them. Even though I don't know their name, I remember them. And when you put it that way, all of them get remembered. So as I like to call it, well, I just bamboozled the third death. Yeah, I remember all of them. I may not know all their names, but I know they're there. Each and every single one of them. And you gotta keep in mind, that's a lot of passed on that I just remembered, just like that. I don't know their name, but I know they were there. So that could... Don't be slamming, banging stuff, please. Rude. Anyway. Having that memory of so many, just like that. Oh, whoops. Just bamboozled the third death. Because they're alive now. Because I remember them. Not individually, but all of them. Because if I was to remember every single one by name, yeah, that's not logically possible. Though giving the recognition that every single one of them that's passed away is an ancestor. Because the way I define ancestor is someone who has either invested in something that provides me something easier, or was an example of what to do, or an example of what not to do. And because of that, they played a part of the assurance that I get the most out of my life. Even if it's so indirect, just like, okay, I'm not going to do what that guy did because, yeah, that didn't end good for him. Still an example of what not to do. It's still an indirect investment. So it's like, I've got to give recognition for that one. And as... well, I mean, the best way I can answer that question is, well, just tell him. Come on, dude. Oh, no, it's okay. Oh, no, it's okay. And I mean, point blank, I would even just put it as just like, oh, come on, Steve. Jeesh. I probably could have bought the ring myself. And hey, well, at least if I bought it, at least it would stay on the finger because, it's my style. That, that's just me. Yeah, that's just so passive aggressive, but whatever. But learning what not to do is just as important as what to do. And as a bit of a, what in the world is this kid talking about? Somebody, like, for an example, hope I don't get a spear thrown at me. Somebody like Mussolini, do not be like that. Okay. Adolf? Do not do that. Okay. Technically is an ancestor showing don't do this. Loud and clear. It's still giving something of value, even though it's not direct. It's still showing, you see what he was doing? Please don't do that. Save yourself the headache and don't be on jackass. Because one of the things that I say, like a parrot, there's always something good in the extreme bad. And there's always something bad in the extreme good. Even though sometimes you're thinking there's absolutely nothing good that can come out of this. There is something good, it's just you really gotta look for it. Well, the thing is, a bloodline is actually related to, like, the physical, like just genetics, DNA, and, the physical side, like genealogy and how it's passed down generation to generation. So if you lived as a different kind of place of origin with a different culture, it's not really, logically, technically, it's not really possible to be part of a bloodline if you're having another life in a different culture, because the blood there is different from this over here. Like, say if you're, like, in one life you were living in China, like ancient China, then you had another life come in, now you're American native. That bloodline is not going to connect, if that makes sense. Although the past life connection for the experience is there, the actual blood type, the, like, royal family of the generation, it's not going to connect, if that makes sense. But I mean, technically, there's also this too. If you really want to go extra deep, you could have one of those, reincarnations. It actually has you now become the child of your child. In other words, this. Say, like, you have a son, and it turns out that that son of yours from 3 past lives ago was your wife. And then your life ends as soon as, he becomes 16. He has a daughter, and now that daughter now becomes you. Sometimes that can happen, and it's awkward. But hey, I don't write the script here. Sometimes it happens. It is what it is. But it can happen. But, like, going from, like, different bloodlines, it's pretty difficult. Not saying it's not possible, but it can be. Absolutely, better believe it. Because like what I said again, I'll define it again. And to me, ancestor is this: anyone that was once living that has invested in the earth and its growth, or society or humanity as a whole, by contributing something of value, be it something that uplifts or showing something what not to do because of, big whoops that happen. And they're still contributing something to society that actually helps others immediately, or showing, don't do what I did because it was bad and stupid. An example of what not to do. They're still contributing, even though it's not like, here, take this gift. It's more like, I admitted I was stupid in that life. I thought, I knew what I was doing, but I was a twathead. Don't do what I did. If that makes sense. And actually, speaking of that, believe it or not, even though I have like this Russian tattoo, I don't have any Russian blood or any Russian heritage linked to me. So it's like, that's not planned. I don't know, but it is what it is. Speaking of that, actually, like about a month ago, like it just came out of nowhere and was just like, wow. It's like the motherland got a hold of me even before I was able to comprehend it. Is anybody familiar with the animated movie Anastasia? Anastasia. With Bartok the bat. And Rasputin. Yeah. That awkward moment, because for me, Anastasia was actually one of my absolute favorite movies when I was growing up as a kid. Where's the main setting? St. Petersburg, Russia. It was right there the whole time, and all of a sudden, a month ago, I was watching Anastasia again and I'm thinking, are these guys, is this based in the motherland, Russia? Yep. Awkward. It's like, wow. So maybe this is where the Ruski, maybe this is where it all started. It happens. I remember having the computer game, and as a kid, that game just drove me nuts. And I absolutely hated the obnoxious mini games with Bartok, especially minion checkers or something. You have the dog just jumping over these green bat gargoyle twatheads and other shenanigans, but those were the days. And another thing when I'm thinking about it off the top of my head, if you're familiar with a divine that is over death, like for example, hell, at least for me, it's at well, blood-wise and heritage-wise, not at all. I don't have any Russian in me. I don't. Not a drip. Let's see. I am English, German, American Native, Cherokee to be exact. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's an. Oh. Hi, Lassie. I'm also Scottish, so don't you, just stop looking at me bagpipes. Because I was sick Nessie on you. And, you should have seen how she handled Waltz. No. She didn't waltz with him. Let's just say Nessie got between his legs and chomped. Ah, Nessie. She always likes being the one that's the most dominant snake one. So dominant that she actually bites them off. Nesilas. Oi, what a mess. Oh no, she got me bagpipes. Oh, now she's ready to be killed. No. And I've never actually like taken any kind of voice lessons to actually do the accent. I never have. One moment, I think it actually, when I was watching The Simpsons and I heard, what was that character's name? Groundskeeper Willie? Because he's Scottish and he has a heavy accent. I heard that once and I just picked up on him like, let me see if I can imitate this thing. Ah, get off! Ah, why you bloody brats gotta ruin me groundskeeping? Get your stinking arse out of me tractor. I think he drives a tractor. I'm not sure. But for some reason he was also like one of the main characters in The Simpsons wrestling. Oh god. That puts a crazy image in my head. Oh, Lasso, you don't want to be wrestling me and me killed. Because, yeah, you might be going into the wilderness if I sit on you. Vulgar nasty one. I'm gonna grab another drink. Not boozy, because believe it or not, I'm not much of a drinker. But I'm gonna grab something to drink. So think of questions to ask me or what have you, or it's open floor right now anyway. So come up with ideas or whatever. I shall return. Alright, yeah, I have returned. Let me just open this can of regret. No. Oh yeah. I also have the luxury of having a brand new essential oil I just got today. Oh boy. Okay. Balsamic Dark Moon, even though it's waning by 1%. I'm not sure, Kayla. I've never heard of that. But if it's a dark moon, it's still a dark moon, and that's actually Chandra at his highest. The most lustful, the most, most, playboy, flirty, and the most longing for the physical indulgences of the world, because that's Chandra. But now if it's a full moon, that's moon full. It's the most content, the most blissful, and whatnot. But that term, I'm not really familiar with. Oh. Pointers are connecting to the deities that actually rule the underworld. Well, oh yeah. Bloody getting sidetracked. The advantages of actually working. Will you stop, trying to poke out from behind me, Cupcake? Yeah. Saw that a few times. But the advantages of actually connecting with one and working with one is if someone who actually works with their passed on or their ancestors, like the dead, and works with them regularly, if they actually send some of the passed on to you to cause harm or mess with you, at least for me, having the tightness with hell, and in Norse mythology, she was given full authority of the dead from Odin, Allfather. So she has the full say over the dead. Somebody has the dead come at me or try and come towards me and cause harm, she just steps in and says, "Piss it." They can't argue with her because she has that authority over all the dead. It's like a protective measure. But it's also ideal to actually have a connection with at least one. And it doesn't have to be hell. It can be Thanatos, Hades, technically Pluto, Yama, Amit. Well, but Amit's more of a punisher. Anubis, Osiris, Mot. You can consider. You could also say Mimir, but also well, you can't really use the first original hell because she's, her bucket got kicked. The first hell, not the hell that's the one we know now. That's completely different. Oops. And actually, Hades is actually very fair, just, and gentle. Funny enough. Oh, and another one. You could, well, you could also maybe potentially go towards the Banshee Queen, Cleluna. I can't pronounce her name, but Cleluna. I believe that's how you pronounce it. But yeah, that's another option. Oh no. Well, that's in my hand. This is the new essential oil I got. It is actually surprisingly smells actually perfect. Madagascar vanilla. It smells exactly how I thought I would think vanilla would smell like. Not the fake vanilla. Like, this actually smells like real vanilla. And real vanilla is not meant to be like cavity striking and sweetness. It has that. It has that faint sweet, but it's also woody. Like a vanilla bean. It's more vanilla bean, and then it has the sweet touch at the end. Now that I'm not sure. Madagascar, yeah. Oh great, got me stuck singing Madagascar. Oh great, I got that stupid Move It song stuck in my head. Oh boy, copyright, here it comes. They can go get thrown off a cliff. I know Baba Yaga, at least I know this. If you want to go work with a crone goddess who is a lot of fun, like she will keep you on your toes, Baba Yaga is the one. I would like to even consider her as like a cunning woman. Like, well, you know what they say about kids like that one. They know how to have the most fun, and they're the most wild. Don't 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 let the elder look fool you. Yeah, Bobby. She is the kind that will make you go, "Wow, I wasn't expecting that," and all of a sudden she just drops a pestle on your head, a big one. in a way, you could kind of also maybe even consider Persephone as another one. Although Persephone, I kind of see her as more of like a death divine over like plants. Does that make sense? So like actually, like saying if you're trying to do transformation with plants, that probably might be better. Mm-hmm. I mean, the tales about Baba Yaga and how just whimsical and surprisingly, best way I can describe it is like very childlike. It's like a whimsical fun that you just can't help but think, wow, we found the life of the party, and it's Baba Yaga. And it's true. Don't let the elderly look fool you. They know how to have the most fun, and they will probably drink you under the table. Crow. May it also potentially been it wasn't also Morgan, was it? I'm just saying it as a potential, but if she did identify herself, then yeah. I mean, I'm not really sure, because usually when I dream that sounds so weird. When I interpret dreams, I tend to actually pay really attention to like the symbols, the animals, and how it gets played out or how it's carried out. And based on how it's carried out, it's like, okay, a lot of crows, and then they become a giant one. So I first think the Morgan. I first think the Morgan for that, but I know nothing. Mm-hmm. Oh, and then also, at least in other good news, the twat head that was, messaging. Yeah, that twat head that, was messaging me all that, big, hissy fitty stuff, and trying to think, oh, Lilith only talks to me. She hates everybody else. Oh, well, he disappeared. Go figure. It shall not be missed. And actually, speaking of that too, on another video I commented, I mean, sometimes when, there's Gary. Sometimes when, you state a fact, like for example, in the English language, in the English language, whenever you have no indication of a gender, if it's masculine or feminine, male, female, when in doubt, you use the word he. That's just what the rule is. It is what it is. When you state that as a fact, because it is, and then you have someone throw a big giant hissy fit, like, what did they say? I could probably look it up right now, but But yeah, this twat-head was all. It kind of made me giggle that you say that, and I mean, that's old English. This is the new English, so start living in the modern era. Like, yeah, like old English. But in terms of actually... And honestly, at least for me, it's just like, well, that's just what the old English rule is. That's the oldest thing that we can turn to. I don't like how it is either, but when it comes to, like, when in doubt, and it has nothing to do with, like, the misgendering stuff, because, I mean, the way that I look at it is just like this. Let's not make this complicated. Because there are some people that think, I identify as this, like, it gets to the point where it's like, I'm lost. And now, don't get me wrong. Of course, you know, I at least try my best to attempt to try and, you know, interact with someone in a way that best respects their existence. But when it's to a point where it's like, I am not really sure what to go with, so I'm just gonna take a shot in the dark. And, like, say if I use the wrong, you know, word, table flip, like, okay. Because the way that I look at it, and I mean, this is kind of a little bit harsh and point blank, and a bit of a, you know, a shiny, no, stick it, kind of a way of going at it. It's not really my problem, or like my, like, it's not really my issue, if that makes sense. Yeah. But usually, at least the way that I think and the way that I go with it is like, I'm just going to take a shot in the dark. But I haven't had any hissy fits at me. I've been told what they want to be called. Okay, now that I know, I know. Well, that's a difficult. Well, yeah. But the thing is, the way I look at it, it's like, if somebody's gonna hissy fit because of someone making a minimal mistake, and you know now that person is now calling them a bigot or, you know, transphobic or whatever the heck. The way I look at it, it's like, well, here. How you are saying you identify as, it's not it's not my problem trying to adhere to your sense of being, like, being able to identify yourself. Your identity is not my problem. So, yeah, that's another good way. Somebody else's identity is not really my problem because it's not mine. But if I make an attempt to give that validation or acknowledge them as they want to be acknowledged, if I'm making the attempt, I don't want to get swung at. That's just me, though. If I make the attempt and I was like, brr, like, why are you hissy fitting? Why are you hissy fitting over a simple mistake that you can just say, I prefer this? Because, I mean, there's some things that make me go, Starseed's not a gender. Same thing with, this is going to be a little bit point blank. Furry is not a gender. Because a furry is a fluffy. It's not masculine or feminine. Or hermaphrodite, which is Mercurian. It's neither one of those. So, well, as the rishis in India said, wise man once said, keep it simple, stupid, because less headache you get. Don't make it overcomplicated. Because believe it or not, when you make it overcomplicated, you have to make it to the point where if you're getting any kind of care or treatment, the waiting list is probably as long as where I'm at right now, all the way to the Canadian border, that long of a wait line. That's a long time to wait to get care. And I mean, I've also heard a few people say, well, I don't identify as human. You don't identify as human? What? Not saying it to be like, really, dude, but like, I'm confused. How do you not identify as human when you have a human suit? A human body? I don't get it. I mean, as I like to go about and keep it simple. It probably could be too. But the way I go about it is, again, keep it simple. It ain't me, it's not my issue, and it's not my viewpoint. Care I don't. If it doesn't have any involvement with me or affect me, meh with it. But not like meh as in like, it's worthless and it means nothing. Like, it doesn't have any good coming out of it. No, it's just like, it's just not a place where I'm going to put my focus in. Because it just has nothing really to affect me with. But of course, you know, being civil and considerate and mindful of others, of course, that's different. But it's not something I'm going to be like eggshell, like walking over eggshells with. Because as harsh and point blank as this sound, if they're going to be going down and having that way of living, they have to expect that. They have to expect things not being absolutely perfect their way and how they want it to be expressed and whatnot. It's gonna happen. It is what it is. Don't hissy fit. I mean, heck. The amount of times that, you know, which is actually not even really that much anyway. The amount of times where I could have actually had somebody, you know, really gay bash me or anything like that. I mean, I could have actually been all like, oh no, I'm being, like, gay bashed or whatever. The only one real time that I remember, this was like years ago, I think, yeah, I was in my senior year of high school. I was at Burger King with, mine. We were talking and we just got food and we were just standing and just looking out over the road. And yeah, having a... exactly. Even then, it also doesn't make you want to tell them this. There's something wrong with this. It's like, no, it can't be like this. It has to be like this. Maybe. Blah, blah, blah. Why are you picking out the stuff that's not perfect? Why not look at the stuff that's good? Stop nitpicking. I mean, the way I would go about it. How come you're always trying to find something to nitpick? It's like, wow, do you not ever see anything good in the world? Whoops. Oh well. But yeah. So outside, standing at his car, we were just having a nice hug. And then I look down, and then I just see these three twatheads. You know, the stereotypical, I wouldn't say gang attire, but they look kind of like thuggish. And all three of them were looking towards us. One of them was throwing gang signs at me. And I mean, he wasn't even looking, like mine wasn't even looking towards them. But I was looking right at the guy throwing gang signs at us. Oh, well, the minute I caught wind of that and I saw that, I actually went from nice to like, you got a problem? Huh? Really? Wow. Yeah, you can move your hands so cool like that too. Come on, hun. If you think you're tough, swing them. And I just stared him down. Of course I said it louder, but like, wanna step, hun? Come on then. He goes from like to like, Besides, I know what you mean when you have the pants down to your knees like that. Yeah, you're a catcher. You ain't slick. Hey, don't look at me. They were down there already. Maybe you should have thought about that before, you were doing it like, oh, the cool guys do this. Nice to know that a lot of the ones that I went to school with that did that, like, wow, there's a lot of catchers in this school. Whoops, don't look at me, they were doing it. They were lucky that, I wasn't like, oh, you're one of the catchers, huh? Wow, I guess that's the new thing, catching. So bored, who cares? But yeah, I've never really had an issue with homophobia at all. Never had anybody hissy fit at me. That was like the most I ever got. Then there was also this one time, excuse me, one twat head was actually told me, just like the other, like the witches at the witch trials, you should have been burned at the stake. One person actually told me, well, you should have been burned at the stake like the witches at the witch trials. And I looked at that and I just responded like, honey, I'm already flaming. What good is it going to put me on a stick and then light me on fire? When you got something that's already flaming, you add more flaming, it's still flaming. Come on, hon, use your head. And that's another thing that at least with myself, I've noticed, at least with me. Whenever somebody tries really hard to get to me, that's it? First time? Okay. Oh, come on, honey, you're gonna have to try really much harder than that to really get me to really table flip. Don't be too much of a fanboy now. Probably the funniest is with, that twat head that was texting me saying like he was wig splitting or whatever. I mean, the way that I look at it, it's like, okay, so if a school will not allow them to express their beliefs, okay, that's all of them then. Well, we had to have a spot for these Muslim kids. Nope. That's a faith system. You can't express it. But we have to. No, you don't. Which fashion? I think I was paying attention. I lost my train of thought. Oh, we're talking about... Oh. Well, here's the thing. Because whenever something is going towards the left-handed path or the satanic community, I get like, ooh, we're like feisty. And like really like, don't go towards them. Please don't do that. Because you'll see me turn into a chihuahua and start ankle biting you. Because I get pretty nasty. It's like, okay. So you're meaning to tell me that they can't have their faith practice and whatever? Why not? Oh, because it's dark, it's evil, and there's animal killing? No, there's not. Why are you basing it on a stereotype? How do you know they actually do that? Oh, because all of Hollywood said so? Or in a He Who font said so? How do they know? Did they actually see them do it? No. In fact, why don't you take a look at their book and then it shows how many times that, Yahweh wanted Abraham to kill his own son? Isn't that child abuse? And kind of conspiracy of a murder of a child? That's not my business. And don't forget the first sin that was done. You must submit to him, Lilith. Are you advocating rape, Yahweh? I hope not, because that's bad. Oops. Well, advocating for somebody to be violated. Well, I don't know about you, but that sounds like a big oops. And he's still got blue ball, by the way. And I didn't even know about the pants thing either. Because I mean, I've been tempted so many times just to say, are you trying to... No, oh, I gotta find a good way to put it. It does. And it's a funny term, but yeah. And the trend for that, the sagging and all that, I sometimes think, are you taunting me? Are you tantalizing me? Are you trying to woozy-woo me? Because it kind of looks like that's what you're doing. No, man, no homo. Yeah, it's okay. At least you thought about it. Oh, the stun with that one. No, you thought about it, but thank you for considering. Awkward silence. Yep, every time. Works every time. Or my personal favorite. This one. Everybody loves this one. That's so gay. I'm gonna show you gay. Every time. That's so gay. I'll show you gay. Stuns the guy every single time. They don't even know how to react. Like, I'm cool with you, just don't hit on me. I'm cool with you, just don't hit on me. Oh man, I wanted to hit you with the shiny stick though. Oh well, maybe next time. Just don't hit on me. I really want to hit you with that shiny stick. Come on. It's not going to kill you. You know, you might might feel something blunt in the back of your head. And the most awkward times is when you're like, hey, no homo though, but do you think I'm attractive or hot? Why are you asking me when you have the no homo thought? But you're still thinking about it. Trust me, hon, it's okay. It is what it is. Trust me. It's nothing to be ashamed of, and heck, flaunt it. By technicality, well, that is, you know, something's amiss when you have two cards and the two figures are both blindfolded. That does not sound good. We have a guy being blind and smelling flowers, and then we have a guy being blind and stepping on poles sticking out of the ground. That is so not comforting at all. But I have to say this, though. Of all the Queen of Swords that I've seen so far, this one's my favorite. Literally, this is by far the best Queen of Swords ever. Yes, I know it's an Ice Queen. Oh my gosh, I just remembered too. I've also put on my Teespring, well, technically it's about a 15-minute lecture on the actual fundamentals of actually connecting with plants. And it actually has, let me just open the notebook thing. It actually has, hold on. Yeah. It goes over the senses and how to engage each sense with a plant. The touch, the scent, the smell, the sight, the sound, the taste, the intuitive. Gives an example with oleander. Don't put that in your mouth. And, using common sense to, be careful with it. And other notes and all that too. And also comes with a cute little... Oh, I gotta get up again? Hold on. Oh, this crap. Ow! Oh. It comes with... Yes, it's on the Teespring. I'm going to try my best not to knock that over. It comes with this cute little printout sheet that has labeled the plant name that you just put right there, and you just fill in right there what you see, the scent, what it smells like, how does it feel when you touch it, even with gloves, the taste, if it's toxic, don't put it in your mouth, the sound it makes, like putting your ear to it and then moving your fingers across it, the intuitive, like the thoughts that you get while just staring at the plant for like about a minute or two, the summary, pretty much summarizing all of that next to that. And based on your summary, you can actually conclude where you're going to use it in. And then your other notes on the very bottom. And then you also have the audio lecture of me reading and explaining how to actually do it. And it's on the Teespring. You should be able just to go on the Teespring page and just look it up. It should be there, I hope. Actually, do I'm not really sure, but I'll try. I'm gonna hope it doesn't crash. If my quality goes down, well, BS happens. Just waiting for this thing to... Oh, there we go. Oh, that's too bright. Let's click that stupid thing. Click there. We'll wait 3,000 years for this thing to load. Hit that button. Wait indefinitely. Oh wow, I actually loaded it first time. That's rare. Oh, there you go. Like 50 years later. So, I can try and do this with one arm. Oh, it was good while it lasted because now it's taking 30,000 years to load. What in the heck is it doing? There it goes. See here. Yeah, there it is. Load, you dimwit. That's it right there. Which one? Because I have two. This one is newish. This one is still like a year old. The other one is a year and a half old, but it doesn't power on because while I was updating and it didn't tell me well, how do I explain this? It was trying to update, then it powered off on its own because it was dead battery. So it corrupted itself. So I'm stuck with a big computer paperweight. Not this one, the other one. But yeah. So that's that, that one. I'll try and post it in like a community post or whatever if it's interested. There's that, and then there's also this. The newest edition. Let me see if I can get this bloody thing to open up. Come on, twathead. Here we go. Yep. Got pillows now. Yep. There's a pillow. There, I have a pillow. A pint glass. Which is just... Well, that... No, don't you do it. Good. This was probably the best one. The black mug. This bloody thing will just, you know, there we go. Use that on that side. Honey bear, come on. Images on both sides, and then we also have it when it's like this. Like on the side. The front, back, and then the side, yep. There's that. What else we got in this bloody thing? There's a canvas print. I believe it's 29. I think it's a 2019. There's the canvas print. 8x10 or 16 to 20. Here's loud, you dimwit. The accessory pouch. There is a stainless tumbler. Milkshake. Then there's, what else is in here? The regular, like a poster, 24 by 36. Heck, there's even a cloth mask. There it is flat. And there it is when it's open. Then there's stainless steel water bottle. Well, you can put this on a rope and, you know, use it as a flail. It's just an idea, okay? Then we have the... Oh, I didn't do that how I wanted to, so I'm going to have to fix that one. There's one for Samsung. Here is an iPhone case. Oh, good. It actually did that one how it was supposed to. There's the iPhone case. There's another poster, 18 by 24. Don't fly off my hand. There's a sticker. And then probably the best one, a wall tapestry. Yeah, the wall tapestry is probably the best one. For iPhone, come on, there we go. When it comes to the iPhone case, I mean, there is from the lowest 6S to iPhone 13 Pro Max. Yeah. All of that. That's quite a lot. Almost every single one. But that's the, what is this one? The regular? Yeah, there's a Samsung and then there's iPhone. Then there's the basic mug, which we all know. Get the black mug, don't get the white mug. Because, yeah, the black mug is so much better. And it's also cheaper. Go figure. And for giggly gigglies, I'll make sure to also put in the community post a %off coupon. It doesn't matter if anybody wants to get something, they can actually get a percentage off. How much? You'll see in the post. And it is getting close to the most annoying time of the year. Sure though. No, I don't need sales tips. Actually, you know what you can do for me, Teespring? You know what you can do? You know what you can do? Simple. Actually promote my stuff, twathead. But when you have regular sales come in, just freaking push it out. You gotta make sure you're verified. Okay. Whatever you say, he springs. It's not that I'm not a fan of the holidays, it's just when you work retail and at Christmas time, they play the same CD all season long. It's beginning to look a lot like F this all throughout the store. Just being honest. It's quite the headache. You know, I really wish I could have my merch shelf, but you know, God forbid YouTube's like, well, you're free to have that feature. You need to have this many subs. Okay. And again, I shouldn't be complaining because I'm getting a little bit of monetization credit. So, but still, not enough. YouTube, more please. Oh, my hands asleep. With some holidays, I think it's like, okay. It's kind of like, yeah, to me it's just like, okay, it is what it is. Woo, okay. But when the point is kind of like when you see retailers trying to, be in the Guinness Book of World Records for actually having the Christmas like the Christmas seasonal things out. Who can get it out the soonest in the year? Because I've seen some stores be like, oh, it's already August and it's already Christmas stuff. Why? Mm-hmm. And I wonder if those people ever think about with the Christmas decorations, like, my good sir, how much is your electric bill? Because that seems to be like a lot of waste of money. But that's none of my business. Gonna freeze for just a second. Oh. I'll be right back. I have to take care of something.